Hey, I'm Chris Hartwell. I'm the writer and director on The Way That I Take.
I'm Jane Phillip. I'm the production designer on the film. Well, I think I've always been drawn to making things, be that as a kid you kind of just cobble stuff together out of the toys you have and make these different make-believe worlds, or it's writing a story or something, and finding a specific medium that I really wanted to hone into was something that I worked through a lot in high school. And what I realized was what I was consuming a lot of was movies. That was the thing that I would go to kill time or to find the stories I most cared about. So I watched Fargo for the first time in my senior year of high school, and I was like, this is just the best thing. I want to do this thing. And I had a really great teacher in high school who loved movies, and his brother was a screenwriter, and he was like, you should go do this maybe. And that's how I ended up here. And I thought I was going to do something more along the lines of maybe writing or cinematography, but what I really ended up falling in love with was the way that you can tell a story through what is in front of the lens rather than kind of working in the computer or working within the camera itself. I love how much detail and how much expression happens just in the pieces that we put within the frame physically through production design. And I like the satisfaction of being able to actually have that tactile, creative process, because sometimes I think in making film that can get lost, especially if you're just all in Premiere or something. That can feel so disconnected, and you never feel that when you build a prop or find the right costume piece or something like that. So I think I always start with the script, because what the writer has chosen to put in it, that's going to be probably the most important information. It's the thing that's gone through edit after edit. These are the physical objects that define some aspect of the character or the space in a way that nothing else in the story could have, which is why they're there. And so I take that very seriously, and then I take those pieces, and with what I know of the script and what I know of the characters in the world, I come to the director and ideally the cinematographer too to talk about what kind of light is required, what kind of mood is wanted, what kind of all the little details that maybe the script infers but aren't confirmed. I can then take and say is this the kind of object that Sam would have? Is this the kind of cup that this family would use? Little things that are just going to add believability to every layer of it and build the character in a way that is honoring the writer and also the director and the cinematographer. Well, when you have the difference in the tenor of a conversation that you have about production design when you have a budget and when you don't, goes from okay, what's the best thing we can get for this, looking online, looking in stores, being able to kind of do that process of searching for the exact thing, and then it's that versus okay, who owns this kind of computer? Who do we know who might I don't know, paint? Who just has stuff that we can pull favors? And that in of itself is a really rewarding and enjoyable process for me. Just as a student, I have zero budget all the time. And so I end up running around friends' dorms or across Houston just being hey, I see that you have that thing. I would also like to have that thing for an hour. It's fine. It's fun. But it's also there's so much more detail that can be cultivated in being able to really select those pieces, which just even just being able to buy the dishes versus going into my cabinet and grabbing my dishes, that is instead of just bringing the physical item, you can bring the physical item that you really do feel that character would have. It's placeholders versus the exact right thing. Yeah. And I think any story is benefited by having the exact right thing.
Yeah, and it's you and I have talked about when it comes to kind of what I really was thinking about when I not created this story, but basically borrowed these stories from real life people that I've heard about from my wife and my father, and ultimately with them, it was always in the details. It was the very specific things that brought those stories to life. Like you were saying, it wasn't a placeholder; it was something very specific. And specifically with production design, the reason why one of the many reasons why we're coming to you asking for the specific funds that we're asking for with this Kickstarter campaign is we want to be specific. We want to honor in as real and as genuine and as specific a way as possible the people's lives that we're recreating in this film. So if you guys aren't aware, obviously our Kickstarter campaign is live right now. And if you're interested and willing and able, we definitely need your specific help. And we thank you so much for listening. Again, this is Jane Phillip, our production designer, and I'm Chris Hartwell, and we'll talk to you later. Cheers.